Okay, recording progress. So welcome to the webinar Back to Gamification. This is a low quiz webinar. We're going to talk about how we come back to the gamification after their time of COVID. So we will present 3 games. We first talk about these new times. Then Petros will present the game Fog, Petros from Christiansen Consulting. Then we will have Valters, who will present Silpoa, Valters from AG. And I will present the new game that we are developing from Loquiz, the game Break the Rules. And at the end of each presentation, you can ask the question for each of us. And in the end, you can ask some more general questions, or you can open the mic and have a discussion all together. So if you agree with all of this, let's start. Introduction to this new time. If you look back in 2019, everything seemed normal. We had a lot of events, and we had more than we could have a lot of business with these events. And I would say back then, the events were mostly about scavenger hunts, if we are in the type of game for events, and they were relatively simple compared to today. But in this year, we did not expect what happened in 2020. So in March 2020, the pandemic arrived. We have the COVID-19. It was a huge surprise for all of us, and especially for the event company, because event means that we meet each other, and meeting each other wasn't really possible with the COVID. And from this difficult time, we still manage to find way to have fun, to have events. And this is how, for example, the hybrid type of game emerged. And also this time of lockdown made us a bit some introspection about our own business. And this is how we came from a scavenger hunt to something more, to something wider, like gamification. So in 2021, the surprise wasn't there. The feeling that we had was more like an annoyance. We were quite annoyed by the COVID, by the measures that were taken that were hindering our ability to make events. Yet the COVID was even bigger than the previous year, if we count the number of cases. So it was still a time where we needed to cope with this, where we needed to invent games that would be compatible with any current situation and with any rapidly changing regulation. But this was 2021, and now we're in 2022, and tomorrow is December, meaning that this year is almost finished. And if we look already retrospectively to this year, we can see that events went back, also tourism, tours. We had many more events, we had many more tours, and for some markets, the month of August was one of the best for the tourism, and the current months are some of the busiest for the event industry. So our question can be, if we have many events coming in, we need games. And this is why we made this webinar. We wanted us to share our game concepts that could help us going back to gamification. So today we are going to present you 3 new games to go back to gamification. And we'll have Petros, Valsters, and myself presenting them. First, I will let Petros present the game Fog. So thank Petros for accepting to presenting the game, to present the game for our community. And I can't wait to watch your presentation.
Thank you, Ivan. So hello, everybody. By the way, how much time do I have? Is it like 20 minutes or?
25, including the question.
Okay. I'd say, okay, I can manage. So hello, everyone. I'm just gonna go and present right from our PowerPoint here. First of all, we create a lot of games for team building activities. That's what we do, the whole team in Christensen Consulting. And what we saw was since the COVID, there was a huge demand on online games and hybrid games, and people wanted to let's say get back into business and get into that new market that was emerging, which was the online games. And right after COVID, and when we started having some more freedom, we realized that this thing wasn't really going away. I mean, yes, people were trying to get outdoor, but then I think the companies saw the value of having games that are more into, let's say, collective thinking and solving problems and working together in a more, let's say, calm environment, not running outdoors all the time. So we saw that the dinner games were rising again, and actually we had more and more sales about concerning the dinner games. And we got some requests, and one of those were from a company who were doing team building events, outdoor team building events, with a specific treasure hunt they had on an island. And they wanted to kind of work with something during the winter time. And we proposed to build something together and to have co-ownership. And this is how the fog came out. So that's a bit of how this game came out. So the game itself, let me stop presenting now. The game itself is a story that it evolves, and you kind of follow the story, but you also affect the story of two heroes, two ordinary, let's say, heroes. And it's been, let's say, the story is in 1913, so right before the First World War. And the game itself is a dinner horror game. We wanted to have a horror game for a long time because it's kind of a new genre for the team building industry, but it's very, very strong, and it's even coming stronger in 2023. There are so many companies developing horror games. You have the escape rooms that people usually go to have fun, but you also have sort of escape-like games that they give you this mystery, and people are very into them. You have VR games that imitate exactly that. So we wanted to do something that would work solely with loquies and with props. So this game is built in a way like a gamified novel, and that novel is based on one of my favorites, which is H.P. Lovecraft. He used to be a writer back in the 20s and 30s. And the game itself is a horror game that you have a story that you follow. So it can be read like a novel. And this is how we designed it to be. And during that novel, let's say, where around the table people read, you have clues and you have decisions to make and riddles to solve in order to go forward. It's a linear game, so you go from A to B to C until the end. And the story is around, as we said, two people. They're in their youth. They want to go to a party, but they get stuck in the mud with a car, and they have to go and ask for help. But they get into an unknown town in the rural areas of northwestern Denmark. This is where we placed it, but of course we can always change it. Whereas there's a little town there called Little Hisrop, and they get in that town and all hell breaks loose. They have to, instead of getting help for their cars, they get themselves into a very, very mysterious and very dark story that as it evolves, it reveals many things, and they get the players into a point that they realize this is not just about them getting out of the town, it's about saving the whole world. So this is the story behind the game. And I can now talk to you about how this evolves into as a game mechanism. The first thing the players see when they get into the game is they see a video. They see a 6-minute video with narration. As I told you, this is like a novel game. It's meant to be played around the table, and people have all the time they need. So that's why we call them dinner games. Of course, you don't need to have dinner to play, but it's not meant to be rushing them into in any way. It's a game that usually lasts 2 hours for the players. But as we've seen, we've tested the game recently with some team building professionals, and then we made some corrections and we tested it again. The game, it's really, really addictive. People don't really want to let go. They want to see the story through, and they want to see what happens to the heroes. So at the beginning, they are introduced in the story with a 6-minute video. As soon as this video finishes, they then get into the menu of the game. And I'm not going to show the video now, as we agreed with Ivan, but if we have time later, you can see the whole video. So I'm just going to go through to the next page. So how the game works, the mechanics is, it's all built on Lockwiz playgrounds, and we have plenty of them. So as soon as they arrive to this city that they don't know anything about, the first thing they see is the announcement billboard from the mayor's office there. And this is a very, very useful tool and a very smart way of giving them all the information they need in order to move around into the game from location to location without having to ask for help from the facilitator. So just to give you an idea, I'll try and get it bigger. So what you see here is there are 2 parts. One is some notes, and these notes let them know that there's something going on in this town. There is a guy missing. They accuse his wife. His wife says he's out of town for business. The mayor is also involved. They kind of accuse one another. And at the end, the last note, as you can see, you can follow the story of the notes by the months of this year of 1913. You can read that the mayor is now imprisoned, and also the ladies in the tower house that she has, the mansion that she has on the hill, and the mayor is imprisoned in a garage, in a car garage. Why there? Because it's the only place that there are tools and they can build some sort of cell to put him in there. And of course, what a coincidence, our heroes, as you remember, they have a problem with their car. So the first thing they need to do is, the logic behind it is, even if you don't know what to do, you would make your own assumption that if my car has a problem, I have to go and check with the car garage. Now, the second part is what gives some more information about how to move around into the game, because the game has a map. You will see it later. So as you can see, we have the businesses that are advertised here. And one of them is, of course, the car garage. And what you see is at the end of Bredgade, which is a street there, this is where the car garage is. And if we move forward and check out the map of the game, which is mostly of what the players see is and are, let's say, moving around, is the map of this game. And the map has, again, a duality. It has two purposes. So as you can see, the map is a bit small, but they can zoom in as much as they want. It's meant to be played with tablets, by the way. And you have street names, so you can basically look for that street name and check out where is the garage, and you can click there and you can visit the garage. And as soon as you can visit the garage, the game starts and you start reading as a novel and start solving riddles. So the game has 6 major stops, six major rooms that the players need to see, and these 6 major rooms are interconnected with smaller stops. So the garage is one of these smaller stops where they meet the mayor, and he tells them that they need to help him get rid of a huge problem, a very dark evil that it's released upon the city, upon the town. And the old lady is to blame for this. So you set him free from his cell. He tells you he needs your help. And the first riddle that you have to solve is in the cemetery. So as you can imagine, it gets darker. This is how we wanted it to be. So you have to visit the cemetery. You have to look for a friend of his that was murdered because he was trying to help him. And you need to get to the cemetery and see if you can find a booklet, which is a grimoire with all the runes and all the information that this friend of the mayor has collected to find out what's going on in the town. So that's basically how the game starts. And then, as I told you, the whole thing is that at the bottom of the map, you have a functioning screen. And that is where a lot of riddles take place, or parts of the riddles take place. And we really like that idea where you have a very standard thing there, so you don't have to be confused with a lot of playgrounds or a lot of riddles under tasks. We can present riddles right there in the map, and they always can use this to solve the riddles or even have an inventory. So you can see sometimes in the game things that they find and they're stored in there, and they can revisit them whenever they want. So it's a very smart way to present things into the game, riddles, without even giving them tasks. Of course, these are tasks that are presented here, but the icon itself is the riddle, the solution to the riddle. So they have to open it eventually, but they first have to take a look at those 5 books. So as you can see, there are many different ways that we use it by trying to match paper pieces together. This on the right side here, this is what you see here, which is the rune alphabet, and they have it as a printed prop, like the one that you see on the right, but also they have it in the game if they quickly need to visit it and check out some of the rooms. And moving forward into the game, they visit the church, they visit a composer first, they get some weird song, and this is where they find it and they put it here. And then they use that song in the church to play a musical piece where we'll unlock things in the piano, and they will get more clues on how to continue. So they go from the let me zoom in again. So they go from the garage, they go to the composer house, they go to the church. Sorry, they go first to the butcher shop and the library. So butcher shop, library. Then they go to the composer, and then the church, and then a painter that they need to visit, and then a fountain. And at the end, when they arrive to the fountain, they have done 4 out of 5 of the big stops. And as I told you, there are 6 big stops, but one of them is not appearing on the map. And as soon as they go to the fountain, they realize that they're already doing things on the map that kind of reveal what's next. And as you can see with this pentagram here, the next step they would do, of course, is go on the mansion here, which the old lady is staying, and they have to visit the mansion. And of course, this completes the pentagram. And in the mansion is where you have the final play in the game, which is kind of long, but it's really rewarding, I'd say. Where you have to choose whether you will help the mayor eventually or the old lady, because the game, although you play always as a, you have a mission. The mayor gives you the mission, but deep down you might feel that something is wrong, and you don't know eventually who is releasing the darkness in this town and who is trying to stop who. During the game, if you are good on solving the riddles and answering correctly, the game will reward you with visions and with visits from people that give you more clues to whether you would have to support at the end the mayor or the old lady. If you are not good at solving riddles, then the game will kind of withhold some of the information. And at the end, you will have less information to decide. So the better you go, the better you answer during the game, the more chances you have to finish the game with a positive outcome. Now, as I told you, the game is based on Locus, but it also has a lot of props that we print. And for example, I gave you an example with the runes here, where you need them because you need to always chant runes to kind of break magical seals that you find. And also your visit in the cemetery, that's a riddle. This is a playground where you have to select which is the grave that this friend of the mayor is buried. And this is a really smart riddle that gets you, try to deduct things, take some of these names from the graves out of the equation, and finally end up with one name. And to help you do that, we also have a printed version here, so it's easier. That was created after we've tested the game against against people like you, team building professionals. Also, other printouts would be the River of the Old Ones, which is also a big riddle, and this is it's connected to the fountain that I told you that they find. And all of these riddles, though, they're interconnected with the grimoire, which you find in the cemetery. So just to give you an idea how this book looks like, of course, this is printed, it's not digital, but you could also have it in a digital form if you want to try and play it well in an online environment. You have the riddles, you have the runes, and you either have to find the sequence of the runes, like here, with different, let's say, problems, different riddles, or you use the book itself, like here with the fountain. This is the fountain that they find, but also they use the backside of the fountain to figure out which of these lions will unlock the riddle there. So this is coming with the game, but they don't get everything at once. They will have to win these things as they play along. So the whole game is designed so it will be slowly and steadily giving you more and more information, so you won't get lost as a player. It's sequential. You won't get lost on having 2 or 3 places that you have to visit at the same time. No, it takes you step by step, and it gives you a story, which is very, very I'd say very intriguing. People want to read and go through the story. But since we've tested the game, we also created a version with a lot less text in the story for those who want more action and not have to read it as a novel. So we have 2 versions of the game. This game started as an idea early this year. We had this idea before, but we have started to discuss about how we could do it, and then the chance came with one of the of our clients, and we built the game. So it's kind of a child of the virus era, of the COVID era, where we would need more online games, but eventually it became something that is independent from, detached, let's say, from that online hybrid market trend, and you can now sell it in the form of dinner games inside the conference halls, and it can of course become an online game or a hybrid game if we wish so. So the game utilizes every single feature of Loquiz. That's something that we haven't done before, but it kind of uses everything, even AR graphics. So you have a table at some point where you have to figure out what it's written on it, and it's carved. You have to use AR, so use the camera of your phone, place the table virtually inside the room that you are, and go around and look for clues on that table. Everything is there. All the features of Loquiz that are now available are used in this game. So it's a very rich in content game. I think that's that. I have nothing else to add. I don't know if you have any questions.
I think before we go to the question,
yeah,
that would be great to watch the video, and
okay.
we actually have time, so
that's good.
Yeah, the video is very nice.
I'll put the video on. Let me make sure that you have audio on my share. Okay, good.
Fog has a distinct smell. It penetrates your lungs like a virus, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The smell of fog is very similar to the smell of wet wood burning in a bonfire. Smell is the most powerful of senses. It will wake up the most distant memories and force you to relive them. But the smell of fog, for me, is a terrifying experience. It will get me back to that Bugatti and the road towards a party we never attended. Yes, the smell of fog and that silver pale moonlight. That night that our world and our lives changed forever. Apart from myself and my friend Jens, only very few people knew how close we came to becoming witnesses of hell on earth. Most of them are now dead or very, very old. I know you're smiling right now, judging me, thinking I'm another one of those fools, full of exaggeration and pride. Know this, I'm not proud, and I wish I was talking nonsense. I wish I was crazy. That would have saved me from a lot of horror, agony, and misery. I'll tell you the story, but you'll need to be patient. This is not a fairy tale. It will take time for you to grasp its importance. It was a warm and humid night on 11th of August 1913. Jens picked me up from my farmhouse. There was a party we had to attend. Nothing special, just a cocktail party with some live music. One of those parties where the guests invite everyone and you end up meeting all sorts of uninteresting, dare to say, boring people. The party was an hour away, towards the western coast. Jens had a map and chose a route that would get us there on time. Back then there were no highways. Turns out his route was a long way around, on a dirt road through farmlands and marshes. We were 40 minutes on the road when thick fog started covering everything. Jens had to slow down to a walking pace. It was hard to see the front end of his father's Bugatti. At first we laughed and cursed our luck. We would be late for the party. Moving at such slow pace, one would think we would at least be safe from any hazards on the road. But that was not the case. On a tight turn, Jens lost track of the road and we ended up in a ditch, burying all four wheels in knee-deep mud. We looked at each other with desperation. After 15 minutes of fruitless tries to get the car back on the road, we decided it was time to seek for help. I hate parties, Jens moaned as he removed his leather gloves and turned the lights off. By turning the lights off though, he allowed our eyes to penetrate deeper into the fog. There! I see some lights down the road, I screamed although Jens was right by my side. As we started walking towards the lights, the fog slowly lifted, revealing the most unusual sight. In the middle of a seemingly endless plain full of crops, there was a small town of no more than 150 houses. You could see the bell tower of their church, and in the distance there was a small forested hill with a huge Victorian-style manor. After a 10-minute walk, we met a fork on the road with a wooden sign, "Welcome to Lille Histrup." "Let's hope they have enough horses to pull the car out of the ditch," said Jens with a calm voice. There was no life in the streets of this town. At first we thought everyone must be asleep, but then we started noticing some figures in the windows. Some of these windows were lit by candlelight and some others had electric lighting. I was amazed that they had electricity so far away from the big cities. Finally, after walking for another 10 minutes, we saw a figure of a man standing on his porch. He was locking his door. He looked old. As we approached the house, we saw a young lady right beside him. Jens tried to get his attention, but the man didn't respond. As he finished locking up, he and the lady started walking towards the town center. We caught up with them. "Excuse us," Jens said. "We're in need of assistance. Our car went off the road about a kilometer away." The man barely turned his head. "You don't belong here. You should leave now." We were stunned.
Eén keer wat er nog vuur bij kan, hout bij kan.
Let the weird couple move away.
Eén keer wat er haak nog bij kan gevuld worden. Zou dat nog lukken?
Into a dark narrow alley. The lady turned towards us and nodded to us. She then raised her arm and pointed to a town hall announcement board across the street. It was full of pieces of paper. "Crazy people," Jens said and started walking towards the announcement board. I followed reluctantly.
So yeah, this is exactly how it starts, and then you get into the billboard. You start reading the rest of the well, whatever was there for, as a predated story, so you can understand what's going on, and then you start playing the game.
Thank you very much for showing the video. It's a very nice way to get into the storytelling and so into the game. And we have a small question from our audience. So we have a question from Alfred. Is it possible to play shorter than 2 hours as well?
Currently, the shortest version is, it can be, I mean, the best teams will finish in less than 2 hours, but the game is kind of meant for those who want to take their time. We can always edit the game and get some of the, we are considering editing the game anyway, and taking some of the story off so we can make it shorter, but that's something that will come later, because we usually build the game at its full extent, and then if we need to make it shorter, we just go back and edit.
All right, thank you. So Martin is asking, he says that it's very interesting. I agree. And is it possible to buy the game? And is it necessary? And is it possible or necessary for a German version, or is the English understandable?
So yes, it's possible to buy the game. That's why we build games that we then can offer to other professionals. This is how we work. It's possible to buy it unless you are in Denmark, which there's an exclusivity for at least for this year for the company who ordered it. The game is already in English and in Dutch, in Danish. And translate. We have been translating a lot of our games, so that's not a problem. And yeah, what was the other question?
The next question is from Martin from Happy Events.
Yeah.
And Martin asks if you made the AR stuff, augmented reality, with Vector.
Yes, we did. So the we have our own 3D animator, which is building our 3D graphics for AR. So we build the specific item into a 3D tool, and then we import it into Vector. Yes, so we use Vector for it as everyone else, because that's the only way you can import AR into Loquiz.
Just in case you need to know how you can use Vector for your own Loquiz game, feel free to contact me on my email address. I put my email address in the chat, and I can give you a short demo on how you can set it up for Loquiz. So the next question is from Valerie. Can we test and build the game, and in which language is it available?
Okay, so similar. So yes, you can test it. We do demos also of our games, and we will start promoting our demos soon for 2023. We have some demos in 2022 too in the remaining weeks. But yes, you can for sure demo the game, and you can buy the game. And again, I see that asks for languages. Well, we can always translate the game in any language.
Okay, so thank you. We have another question from Valerie. So we have to use the Vector app. Do we have to use the Vector app in the phone or in the tablet?
You have to have Vector on your tablet, along with, depends if you have an iOS device or an Android device, you might also need another app. But you can download both of these apps, which is AR View.
View, yes.
So you can download those in like 5 minutes time through Google Play, and equally through App Store. So, but you need to have them, and that's one of the reasons if you use AR in your games, it's kind of harder to do them and utilize the user's phones, the user's device, because then you have to ask them to download Lockwiz, download Vector, and download AR View to play a game, and that's gonna feel a bit weird for them. So it's good to do it on your own devices.
So yes, and Valérie said that indeed we are not using because the users don't want to download two apps, which is understandable. And we do have plans in alongside with Vector in the future, but not tomorrow, not in the next month, in the future, to have the possibility to avoid downloading more than one app to use the augmented reality. And so that's a question from me. So do you, when you offer this game to players, to your clients, most of the time, if not all the time, you rather provide them with tablets that is from you, from your side?
Exactly. So this game is meant to be played around the table. So you give them a tablet and they play the game. It's anyway a facilitated experience because you also give them all the props as they progress. They don't have them all at the first point in the game. They kind of win them, you know. They have to deserve them to get them. So they get the tablet and they start playing. You have to use your own tablets, yeah.
Okay.
This game, by the way, we are now going to start building a VR version of it. And that VR version, for those of you who use VR, we have like VR games for team building. This is also going to be using a VR headset and Lockwiz for the team. So it's going to be even more, I'd say, technologically advanced.
There is a big demand coming from the corporates to use VR in the events. So I'm sure that can give quite an outstanding experience. And yeah, I would be very glad to test it one day. Okay, so thank you very much, Petros. To remain in our timetable, I offer that we go to our next speaker. So please welcome Valtas from EG, who will present us Tilpo.
Yeah, hi, hello everyone. First of all, my compliments to Petros. You've done a great job. I was amazed with the story and the like. It's huge. I love it. I'd like to play it sometime. As to the thing I'm gonna present, it's not a new concept. We made it just as the pandemic started, and I have been presenting it. And some of you, including Up Events and Isgar, might know what I'm talking about. The game concept is quite democratic, and it can be played everywhere around the world, including probably in the space, I think. But let's see. My short presentation. I won't be long, not to waste your time, but here is the company name. Is called Deji. It means hedgehogs, and the game you can find in the webpage called tilpo.lv. It's also in the English version. And this is a game which Tilpo means loop in Latvian, and it's a loop game, and it consists of several loops tied together. Loops consisting of questions, and you get points by solving tasks and questions and combining them together and solving the big loop question. Usually there are 8 loops in the game, and it takes approximately 2 hours or just 1.5 hours to get the game done. And the game consists, as I said, of tasks and questions. And maybe before I tell you in detail, I'd like to show you a video, which is, sorry, I have to switch to the video. Here, just let me hear it.
What is a loop game? It's an interactive outdoor hiking game which can be played anywhere in the world. It's simple. Just go for a walk, turn on the app, and solve the questions and challenges along the way. Each game consists of multiple loops. Each loop consists of virtual checkpoints and themed tasks. The answers to the tasks will help you figure out the loop solution. For example, the correct task answers would be beans, morning, aroma, mug. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Exactly, that is coffee. Did you answer correctly? Then it's time to go further and tackle the next loop. Before you start, download and open the LogWiz game app. Enter username and password for the particular game. Choose a nice route and get ready for an enriching walk.
Baltas, sorry to interrupt. We don't see the video. I think you need to remove the full screen, which stops the video from appearing.
Do you see it now?
Yes. I'll let you start from the beginning so we can all see the video presentation.
Okay.
Video.
Well, let's do it this way, not to waste the time. I'm gonna just continue from here on, and I'm gonna send you the link where you can see it for yourselves if you're interested, and you can watch it and like repeat it if it's not clear. Okay.
Okay.
Your smartphone and maybe bring an extra battery with you. While you play, GPS and mobile data must be turned on. When you start walking, questions will pop up on a screen. Keep the screen active and sound on throughout the game. For more excitement, you will receive points. 1 for each correct answer. By solving the whole loop, you can score up to 10 points. This game is a great opportunity to refresh your daily route or challenge yourself against other players. The game is simple and fun. Just start going and enjoy.
Hope you liked the Latvian very modest and easygoing video compared to Petros one. But yeah, let's continue with some information about the game itself. So we've, as you noticed, it requires only LogWiz application and your device, and basically it can be played anywhere in the world. And we've had the events where people gather from different places and start doing it together. But majority of the players nowadays, they do it individually or in their own time. So it's not like events type of game. It's more like a extended version of the game, and there's plenty of games we have created in the web page I mentioned. They can be found. At the moment we have 4 games in English though, and one of them is like a general game for all types and kinds of events, and 3 of them are themed, and rest of them are in Latvian, and many of them are very narrow themed, seasonally or some other themes which are related in the certain time of the year or so. And as you see here, the game consists of many tasks, and they can be answered and played throughout the walking. And so it happens so that you start the game and you start walking, and tasks appear in after a certain amount of meters you have completed. So it motivates you to move forward, and sometimes it doesn't require a specific place where you play it. It can be done in any environment, and I would suggest even doing it in your daily route, because when people play this kind of game, they don't pay attention to the surroundings. And if they would choose a nice route with the pretty nature or landscapes, then they would miss it most probably. So one of the examples which was in the video for a loop is that you get the tasks, 4 tasks in the beginning, where the answers could be morning, cup, aroma, and beans. And these tasks are different kinds of either choosing from ABC or entering your own version, or just scanning something. The tasks are different, and so that people don't get bored by them. And collecting all these 4 answers, you have to guess the general loop question, which would be very unspecific. For example, what is it would be the 10-point question. And if you have these answers, you start guessing, and you eventually come to the correct answer and answer coffee. But if you would answer incorrectly, the game gives you 2 additional chances to answer just with a reduced amount of points. And we have lots of hints. Each of the tasks has a hint option. Hints can be limited in the whole game, and hints cost you nothing, but it affects the result of the end result of your team. So if you are clever enough to do without hints, it's okay. But we have built the game so that people who don't get it at the beginning, they can rely on some additional information. We have prepared and cooperated with lots of clients and lots of occasions, and one of them which was very huge in the pandemics, and at the moment it's decreasing because people are eager to do something more publicly and together with other people, and there's plenty of other options, but still it's ongoing, is the public projects, where we have games in our Cilpo.lv webpage where you can buy them. Then we have still quite a large number of corporate clients who desire these kind of games whenever there's some kind of usually it's like time of the year when they want to have something for their employees. For example, the Independence Week we had in Latvia was the most recent, or Christmas time, where a week or some few days are available to play this game, and eventually through the Zoom or somehow other, we can present the results and eventually have an small event where people are congratulated with some prizes for the winning teams. And there is also quite a number with local government projects. It used to be more when the pandemics was still going on. because people could not gather, and so many local governments asked us to build the games around the town center or wherever, and these were tailor-made games with a lot of information regarding this local government and the things which are related to the place where it's played. So as I said, the game involves many options how to get points, not only doing tasks by answering questions, but also like you see here, taking pictures, which is always great fun. And you see here there on the left side of the screen, there's a corporate event where people are playing in teams, and the middle one is individual player with the themed game in Easter time, and on the right it's a nice family picture playing the game in their own free time. And as you see on the right, there's a badge on the picture, and the idea of the game is that you earn points, and in the end you appear in a tribe. If you are smart enough by getting a lot of points, up to 90% and up, this gives you the highest value of the tribe, which is called eagles, and graduating by percentage, we in the end we provide the not the very accurate number of the results. Of course they can see it, but the idea is that you belong in the tribe, and you get a badge where you can take a picture and post it somewhere. Yeah, well, these are my contacts. If you are interested, you can write or call me directly. I'll be happy to provide you with some additional information. And basically, this is it from my side regarding the Zilpo game. I think we can move on with the questions and answers, and these are the two web pages we are. The company is working as an EJI brand name, and Zilpo is the game name and brand which is specifically designed for these kind of Zilpo games or loop games. Thank you.
Thank you, Berta, for the presentation. If I can add a comment, it was very interesting to see that this game was that you released the game a few weeks after the start of the pandemic, and actually it worked very well at this time because it was a really great game for people, for family to have fun outside, to walk outside, to solve riddles when there was this lockdown that quite stopped people from going anywhere. I think an interesting aspect of this concept is the possibility to use the same basis of riddles to many topics. For example, you can have about Latvian Independence Day. You can also have about Valentine's Day, as I could see on the Zilpo website. So it's really something that you can replicate.
Yep, it is. And as I said, the majority of the games are themed, and they are related to a specific either place or event. So yeah, used to have them as a traditionally like one in a month or so. So we've built up some pile of the games, but as I said, they are majority of them is in Latvian.
All right.
So I'll post the web page where you can see the video. Sorry for the full screen halt, but yeah, here's the web page. You can watch it again if you want.
Yes, you will see the videos, and the video explained very well. We actually tried the game yesterday with the Loquist team around our office, and we could have a first impression of this loop. So as I say, it's interesting to see that these loops give question for different topics. So Petros is asking. Petros was saying that thank you, that's a great idea. Do you need to change the loop riddle every now and then so you can get repetitive clients?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, we do have such a thing, and well, it basically depends on the clients. Many of them want to play this game occasionally, and this pushes us to create more games and build new content. But the idea of the game is the same, and people who play it, and they just love it. It's very democratic and easy to play, and those followers who we have, they also follow the latest games, and many of them are very into this idea.
Actually, I have a question similar to this one. When you sell the silver game for individual players, not for corporate, do you often have returning customers to your website?
I won't give you a specific statistics, but yes, we do have. In the springtime, we had event which was a public event, and there was 4 games in a row, every one in a week, and majority of the games of the teams were playing all the 4 games. Of course, they had some prizes for that if they would play all the 4. But yeah, regarding to corporate clients, we also have many who are coming back, and at least 2 games they play. So it's seasonally, like one in the summer, one in the winter. Usually it happens like this.
That's really great, and I know that many of us in this room do sell games for individuals, and I think this could be a great addition for your shop. So feel free to contact Velters to implement this game in your own market, in your own language. We have another question from Petros. Do you have an API connected result page? How do you let individual players know their score?
Yes, we do have, but we don't use it because mostly we try to push that it's an event, and we usually provide the results ourselves, so we can ask more money, like for the fee of being there. And this also gives us some feedback, because we can always ask how was it and what to improve, and you see the players, well, those of who turn on the camera. But anyway, this is the thing which I personally like that I see these people or somehow are in connection with them rather than just providing a like distant and remote results page. But yes, we do have in this springtime series, we used like we have a web page where the results are always there and seen every week. So yes, we do use it.
All right. Do we have any other questions? So if you do not have any other question, if any question emerge during my presentation, I'll let you write for the end of this webinar, as we will have a question session. So Walter, thank you very much for presenting us Stilpo, and let's move on. So I'm going to share my screen as well. Please let me know if you don't see my screen. All right. So as I say, we had the presentation from Belters, and now let's move on to the presentation of a game that I'm developing within Loquiz and with the help of the Loquiz team. So imagine that you are in the dark and that you don't see nothing, you don't see anything but a wall. And you need to break the wall to become free. And you have a team with you, and you need to all together with your team to communicate together to break the wall. Because the more you communicate, the faster you break, and the faster you are free. So the game is still in development. Currently, it looks like this, and we are also going to put better graphic on this, but currently it's quite usable. And every player have a grid like this. So maybe for some of you, this grid may look a bit familiar because the game mechanics are a bit based on the waiting game that we use for another type of event. So the player sees this grid, and every time they tap on one tile, they have a question, very enigmatic question with no text, just emojis, and they need to find the correct answer. They need to find the correct answer in order to pierce the wall. And so altogether, in the given time, they need to succeed in getting free. However, if you fail at answering one task, you will have a 10 minutes waiting time. 10 minutes can be a lot, especially if you have less than 10 minutes of game time left. So this is how you need your team to help you out. And whenever you answer incorrectly, you get some hints about the other block, and you are the only one to know the hints. So it's quite mandatory that you communicate with the other if you want to succeed all together. And I would say you get hint also because making error, making mistakes is not that a bigger problem, because we all learn during the mistake that we make. So what about the specification of this game? You can make 10 to 1,000 players per game. 10 is what I advise, and 1,000 is more like a number that I just put it on the table. It depends on your ability to facilitate, but as the game is quite simple, you can easily have a lot of players without actually facilitating, because all the instructions are in. However, as this game with interaction, it's important to note that you will need to duplicate the game for every team from 2 to 6. The game is 30 minutes max, You can also put 20 minutes according to your needs. And it can be indoor, can be hybrid, it can be remote, it can be as you wish for the setup of your events, and which I would say is COVID friendly, just in case if we have this restriction coming back. So the game teaches the player communication, and this is something that's quite important within the corporate. You need to teach communication. So this is a way to teach by gamification. It teaches cooperation and how you need to be together to be a team in order to get free. And my favorite teaching is the error acceptance, because wherever we are, whatever we work on, we always make error, we always make mistake. And if we are afraid of making them, then we don't learn, because we learn through the trial and error. And this is something that this game wants to teach. So currently this game is still in development. I would say we are more in a beta version where the game is ready, but we still need the people to test. And if you are interested in participating in a testing session, feel free to send me an email anytime soon. Maybe by the end of the year or in January, we will host some testing session. And then after, this game will be made available on the, from LeQuiz to you. So my question is, my presentation was quite short because it's a short game that is that will be available, and it's a game that will adapt to many different situations. So if you have any questions regarding the game, feel free to ask. Feel free to write in the chat, or and then and if you have a question arising for later, feel free to write to send me an email. So if I do not have any questions, you can ask for the other two. You can ask for the end of the webinar. Thank you, Petros. Thank you, Valerie. I'm quite impatient to make you test this simple but efficient game, which I want to add that I already had a different testing session with a different group of people. And yeah, I enjoyed the feeling that the player had, because it looks very simple, but a player had quite interesting reaction from this. And you could see from each group different dynamics. For example, you had groups where you had the natural leader preparing and managing the game, and then others are trying to organize to give the information. So now we come to the question part. So if you have any question that you forgot to ask, you can ask now, or if you have any question that is more global about the gamification, feel free to ask. And thank you, also thank you everyone for attending the webinar, and thank you everyone, and thank you also Petros and Baltas for accepting to do this presentation and to present this game for our audience.
Thank you too, Ivan. It's always a pleasure.
We have Jeffrey asking how many people, asking you, Petros, how many people at once do play your game generally?
we calculate that it will be up to 100 people. So if you have teams of 4, so it would be around 25 teams that you could have in one room. It basically has to do with how many, it's all about your facilitation skills and abilities. You need to kind of keep track of where they are. You can do that easily through the results page. So you can always give them the props when they need them. They also get a note when they need to get a prop from the facilitator. So you don't really have to pay attention to exactly what they do, but you always have to have in mind, maybe a team will ask for something that they deserve. But I guess around 100 people is where I would place it. It's meant to be in a room, so it would be very, very noisy if you would have like 400 people there working.
All right, thank you for your answer. Jeffrey, thank you for your answer. Do you have any other question? Okay, we'll just stop the recording.